Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking some incredibly vital information about the hidden financial dangers lurking in a time of life we usually associate with excitement, freedom, and, finally being an adult, your 20s. Now, your 20s absolutely bring a thrilling new sense of independence, and for a lot of us, a bit more money in our pockets. But as we're going to explore today by breaking down these key sources, this period also carries massive, unseen financial traps that can literally dictate the rest of your life.
So let's start with a harsh but absolutely necessary reality check. Ask yourself right now, are your everyday choices, the little things you don't even think twice about, quietly funding your own self-sabotage? When you're in your early 20s, it is so easy to feel invincible, right? You've got boundless energy, endless opportunities, just a whole lifetime ahead of you. But that feeling of invincibility, well, it often masks the fact that your daily financial habits might actually be keeping you completely broke.
Because the reality is actually the exact opposite of invincibility. In your 20s, you're actually more financially vulnerable than you'll ever be. The danger here is what we can call the invincibility illusion. Because you're right there at the starting line of your financial journey, any early missteps you make right now, they don't just affect your current bank balance, they compound. A seemingly small financial mistake made today will send massive shockwaves through your entire future.
All right, let's dive into Theme 1, the illusion of infinite time and money. So, when you're young, you are incredibly rich in one very specific way. You have bundles and bundles of free time. But wasting that abundant free time instead of building skills, that just means you're letting potential income slip right through your fingers. And hey, it's not just time, it's spare cash too. Overspending on drinking and partying is pretty much most people's kryptonite. It's so easy to get caught up in the moment and spend way more than you intended. But every dollar you save and invest now, rather than blowing it on a fleeting night out, is worth dramatically more in 20 years. You're quite literally squandering your future capital.
And that brings us to this amazing story about a young guy sitting in Mr. Willer's geography class, just utterly bored. But instead of just wasting that spare time, he spent his 20s sketching model planes. And those early sketches? They developed into highly profitable skills. In fact, one of those designs went on to be manufactured and sold all over the world, literally becoming the biggest selling RC aircraft in the UK. It just goes to show, investing your free time early on builds skills that pay off exponentially. Moving right along, let's get into Theme 2, the social mirage.
$5,700. Now, why bring up that specific number? Well, we all have that one friend who always seems to have the nicer car, the nicer house, just this amazing lifestyle. But here is the secret. The majority of people are completely faking it. As of 2020, the average American household carried over $5,700 in credit card debt. Having access to easy credit allows people to rewrite reality. So those friends you're desperately trying to keep up with and impress, yeah, they're probably way more in debt than you are.
And this social mirage bleeds heavily into dating too. Relationships in your 20s can get serious really quickly, and man, is it incredibly tempting to splash the cash on expensive restaurant dates just to win someone's affection. But there is a huge difference here. If you start a relationship by just waving your money around, you are going to attract people who are drawn to the size of your wallet. Authentic connection, on the other hand, is built on bonding over shared passions and interests, which attracts true partners who actually like you for who you are. Real friends and real partners, they honestly couldn't care less what you spend your money on. And this idea applies directly to major relationship milestones too, especially marriage. A lot of people rush into getting married in their 20s when they truly, honestly can't afford it. The source data reveals this fascinating story of a couple who waited 16 years from the time they met to actually tie the knot. Why? Because they had a very specific vision for their perfect day, and they knew if they rushed it and cut corners, the memory wouldn't have been nearly as spectacular. Delaying that gratification resulted in a truly unforgettable memory and significantly less financial strain. Okay, things get really serious here in Theme 3, the big-ticket blunders.
Let's talk about the reality of moving out too soon. It's almost a universal goal in your 20s to get out of your parents' place and finally taste that freedom. But let's be real, it's usually driven entirely by emotion. You walk into a potential apartment and instantly start visualizing the big red couch, your cool desk setup, the epic house parties. But in doing all that, you completely underestimate the crushing weight of the mortgage or the rent. You ignore the massive hidden costs, maintenance, car bills, travel expenses, and just basic living needs. The source actually explicitly mentions that with a 6'4" appetite, the food bills alone were absolutely huge. Honestly, the smartest financial move you can make is slightly abusing your parents' generosity, staying at home for as long as you possibly can, and investing your money instead.
Another massive blunder? The car finance trap. We are constantly bombarded online with videos of 19-year-olds buying luxury cars. But listen, car dealerships aren't interested in the car you want. They want to sell you as much finance as possible over the absolute longest period. Buying that sweet ride leaves you with huge debt on an asset with a razor-sharp depreciation curve. Literally, you can lose half its value almost instantly. The real cheat code here is buying a pre-owned car at the bottom of its depreciation curve. You drive it for a few years, sell it for roughly what you paid for it, and it effectively becomes almost free to own, aside from your fuel and insurance. Really, all you gain from a brand new financed car is the ability to say, hey, look at me and my huge debt.
And the sheer scale of this financial vulnerability is just staggering. To put this into perspective, 60% of millennials wouldn't have enough money saved up to cover a minor $1,000 emergency. That is a truly dangerous lack of a backup fund. And when you don't have that safety net, a minor inconvenience instantly turns into an absolute catastrophe.
Let's walk through exactly how that lack of a backup fund triggers this unseen, vicious cycle of debt. The source details a really painful, real-world cautionary tale. Step 1, a 19-year-old takes out a loan to buy a car they can't truly afford. Step 2, disaster strikes. The engine blows up after just 1 month of ownership. Step 3, because there is absolutely no emergency fund, they're forced to take on huge, suffocating new debt just to pay for a replacement engine. Suddenly, they're trapped. Step 4, the only way out of this vicious debt cycle is to work absolutely relentlessly, taking on endless side hustles for an entire year just to break free. It's a brutal trap, and an emergency fund would have completely prevented the whole shebang.
Finally, we arrive at Theme 4, the ultimate cheat code.
So let's do some quick, stark math here. In your 20s, retirement feels literally a lifetime away, right? People find all sorts of excuses, mortgages, college funds, holidays, and they put off investing until they're 45 or 50. But check this out. If you invest just $100 a month for 30 years at a 7% annual return, you build a fund of nearly $117,000. But if you wait just 10 years and invest that exact same $100 a month for 20 years, your fund only reaches $50,000. That 10-year delay costs you over $66,000 in lost growth. And the craziest part? The $50 grand you missed out on would have only cost you $12,000 in actual contributions. That is tens of thousands of dollars in free money simply thrown away just because you waited.
And this right here is exactly why you absolutely must start early. The guidance from financial mentors is crystal clear. Save a minimum of 10% of everything you earn. Doing so gives you the freedom to seize different investment opportunities down the road, whether that's in business, real estate, or stocks. By starting early, you are harnessing what Albert Einstein famously called the eighth wonder of the world: compound interest.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final, provocative thought to really chew on. Take a hard look at your daily habits, your spending, and your mindset. Are you actively building your future, or are you secretly funding your own self-sabotage? The key to escaping the 20-something trap is simple but incredibly profound. Live within your means today and rigorously invest in your tomorrow. Thanks so much for hanging out and exploring these vital insights with me.